Please join us as part of the Got Your Six initiative and help us be there for impacted veteran service members and their families. They've had our backs. It's time we have theirs. Learn more at gotyoursix.org. That's gotyoursix.org, using the number 6.
Welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for joining us on this Tuesday afternoon. It's 1:06 and we're starting a new show clock over here. We'll no longer be starting at 1:03 for those that were wondering, hey, where the heck is Weather and Ag in Focus? Well, you're going to have to unfortunately wait 3 minutes longer to hear from us. We'll be starting at 1:06.
But
I'm meteorologist
Justin.
Worth
the wait,
Oh, we
Justin.
definitely are. Every time.
Okay.
I'm meteorologist Justin Storm. I'm with Bridgette Readel, WDAY Ag Director, and Dean Wysocki's playing hooky again. He's putting sharp, pointy needles in his back, I think.
Or is he getting ready to move some snow? Because as I look out the windows here at the studio, I see it coming in from the west. The snow is about to start here, and not going to take too terribly long before we see much more accumulation, is my guess. What do you say to that?
You are spot on. We'll be getting a little bit of additional accumulation today. That will come to an end by this evening. More snow at the end of the day of Wednesday through Thursday morning. Yeah, we got a couple rounds of snow that are on the way. We are in a winter weather advisory right now. That's in effect until midnight. We're just looking at not really any wind to go along with this snow, so that's the good news. Wind will be fairly light, around about 5 to 10 miles an hour to the northeast, but we'll get around 1 to 3 inches of snow here in the FM metro. Further south down towards the South Dakota border, around 2 to 5. It's not until the overnight hours that the winds start to ramp up, and that's when a winter storm watch goes into effect for our area, and that is from tonight until Thursday evening. So this is going to be a couple-day event. Most of it's going to come through Wednesday night and Thursday, but we're stuck with the wind tonight, all day Wednesday, and for 3/4 of the day on Thursday, and that wind is going to be around 15 to 30. Gusting as high as 40 miles an hour, so we'll have blowing snow on Wednesday. The snow will come in Wednesday night. That will mix with the strong wind, adding to more reduced visibility into Thursday, and then the snow showers will taper off by Thursday afternoon. So that'll give us another 2 to 5 inches of snow.
And again, we got to keep an eye outside. What's it look like? If you're making travel plans, be aware. I mean, I changed mine just to make sure that nothing bad happened to the rest of you, because usually the weather follows wherever I go. But keep an eye out on those highways and so forth. And for those of you who are out driving, send us a road report. Give us a call, 701-293-9000, or you can email us, weatherorag@flagfamily.com, and let us know what's happening on the highways where you are.
And that phone number will go along if you want to join in on our conversation today, ask a question or a comment, or like I mentioned, just join in on our conversation is 701-293-9000. And we got some fun things we're going to be talking about today, Bridgette. There's a lot of ag topics from yesterday that I was looking forward to getting to that we didn't have enough time to go through everything with all the stuff that was going on. So I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about this Mexico corn ban. What changes are happening with this topic?
Okay, so we have been talking about this for a little while, the fact that the Mexican government had a ban on incoming imports of U.S. corn that were GMO, that particularly they're concerned about glyphosate. And that ban was backed up. It was set to start in 24, then they moved it to 25. The changes that they are making is they're talking about now the ban will be in effect only for corn that would be for human consumption. They're still looking at some possibility of allowing it in for livestock, et cetera. So there's just been a little bit of leeway in what's going on with that. The U.S. corn growers and the USDA is still having that discussion with the Mexican government to make sure that they're basing it on science, that they are paying attention to what's going on, because it could become a situation where can Mexico get the amount of corn that they need? We just don't know if that's going to be the case right now. About 20% of what they import goes for human consumption. A lot of that is white corn, which would not be a GMO product as well.
Oh, that's interesting to hear that. Yeah. And there was another one too. Maybe we'll save it for later on the show. Why don't we just hit it now?
What do you
Let's get it
got?
out of the way.
Okay.
It's the EPA plan for pesticides.
Okay, so here's what's going on with EPA, and pardon me as I flip through my notes here to make sure I got it in front of me. Right now, there is a proposal coming from EPA. They have issued the Endangered Species Act work plan for pesticide regulations. There is a backlog of thousands of pesticides that are up for review, and they tend to get bogged down by a multitude of legal challenges. The reason pesticides come up for review is back in about would have been 1996, actually. It was right before I started out of college. There was something called the FQPA, the Food Quality Protection Act, which said that every time a pesticide is registered, it has to be assessed for its risk cup. And I want you to think about it like a teacup. And every time you add a use to it, you put it into that teacup. And the more uses you have, the fuller the cup gets. Well, as it reaches the top, you may have to take some uses out so it doesn't overflow its risk cup. Well, now what's going on is the EPA is saying we are going to continue to watch that risk cup because we continue to follow FQPA and we continue to re-register active ingredients for pesticides. But the hang-up for a lot of the times that the EPA gets sued comes from environmental groups that want to focus more on the Endangered Species Act, which is not enforced by the EPA. It's actually enforced by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. So what this could mean is for you as a farmer, you're going to spray your soybeans in June. You would have to go back in January, like this month we were already past. You're going to need to look at the pesticides that you want to use, then look at the Environmental Species Act bulletins to see if there is a species ban in the county in which you plan to spray. This could be plant or animal. So, for instance, it could be the long-eared bat in Minnesota. In parts of North Dakota, it could be the fringed prairie orchid. I always have to say that a couple times to get it right. And so if those are in your county, then you would have to take extra buffers, special precautions, et cetera, if you're going to be spraying certain pesticides in those counties. But the problem is you have to go back 6 months in order to make those spraying decisions when you really don't know what's going to be happening until that crop is in the ground and you see what pests are the problem. So you can see where this is going to be a hard to manage situation for our farmers because this would add so much overreach and regulation that they would have to fight their way through. So that's currently what's going on.
And this is a proposal, correct, to do that?
Yes, this is their work plan for pesticide registrations. EPA has wanted to talk about this when they did their e-tour last summer, and I had the opportunity to visit with folks from the EPA. They mentioned this as a concern. They want to talk through that. Also, they lead into the discussion about buffers. And when I say buffer, that means if you have a field that goes up against a waterway, needing to leave an untreated space between your field and your waterway. There are also other items that show up that would need a buffer zone to them. Buffers will vary by product that you use. So it might be 140 feet for a herbicide. It might be 65 feet for a fungicide. And if you're mixing them in combination, you have to use the buffer that's most restrictive. But what then happens is you leave an untreated space in your field that the pests can thrive, and that makes it difficult to combat in the field outside the buffer zone, or those pests can move into other fields as well. So it makes it difficult for farmers to keep up with all the pests that could be going on, whether it's weeds, bugs, disease, etc.
Well, it definitely sounds like a handful, and we'll have to see where this goes down the road, and then maybe bring it back up down the road and see, which direction this goes, if it makes forward progress or if it kind of comes to a standstill.
Right.
And if you want to chime in on your thoughts on this, feel free to do so, 701-293-9000. In the meantime, I'm going to run back to this winter storm that's tracking into our area because it's a sizable storm, and it's probably one of the larger, if not the biggest storm we've had so far this year. And it's really affecting a large area, all the way from northern Nebraska into the southern half of North Dakota, then into the southern half of Minnesota, as well as most Iowa, and into Wisconsin. And it's going to be bringing in a wide swath of, believe it or not, 1 to 2 feet or more of snow throughout most of South Dakota into Minnesota, the bullseye being southern Minnesota, where they could top out over 24 inches of snow. And I've seen a few forecasts where they're expecting near 28 inches of snow. We're kind of right on that northern fringe of the heavier snowfall, which will be setting up along the I-94 corridor. As you go north of the central and northern valley, those amounts really taper off quite quickly. By the time you're up in the Grand Forks region, you're really looking at maybe a light dusting to maybe 2 inches of snow, depending on if you get a couple of bands that's set up. Here in the FM Metro, we're kind of dancing around that 2 to 5 and 3 to 6 inch line, but throughout the far Southern Valley, Wahpeton could see a foot of snow. You could be looking at 12 to 16 inches down by the time you get into Sisseton, South Dakota. So, I mean, it's a sizable storm. And if you remember the weather we had just the other day with the wind, although that wind was just a touch stronger than what I think it will be, at least for tomorrow, we're going to see something similar to that playing out here in the valley. So traveling tomorrow is going to be quite difficult as that north wind picks up 15 to 30 as we head through Wednesday evening, Wednesday night. That's when the snow comes in, so that's going to add into the blowing snow, and those winds are going to kick up just a bit, gusting to 40 into Thursday afternoon. So Thursday definitely going to be the worst of it. But as a whole, we're looking at overnight tonight, Wednesday, and most of the day of Thursday being very difficult, if not near impossible travel. And if you're going south, you're not going south if you're leaving any time in the future, because you're not going to make it through that with the reduced visibility, the slick roads, and then the heavy snow. So just stay put. And if you're around the area, remember, throughout the week, give us Road Warrior reports. We love to hear from you. We don't know what's going on all those roads. If there's an accident or things are slowing down, I mean, you can prepare other people out there that are listening. They get a little heads up. Always keep that number handy, 701-293-9000. And Bridgette, we got to get our guest all squared away here, but when we come back, Ryan Hastings is going to be joining us, correct?
He is. He's with C-Bar J Ranch in South Dakota. He raises not only beef, but bison. And looking forward to asking him all sorts of questions. Boy, we could even take this the Yellowstone way and ask if brucellosis really is a problem with bison, or as that could transmit to cattle. So we're looking forward to visiting with Ryan, asking him all sorts of great questions. I know he is anticipating a load of cattle today in order to avoid tomorrow's weather. So we'll visit with Ryan just after this.
Your MSUM Dragons are heading down to Sioux Falls for the NSIC basketball tournament.
We'll bring you live play-by-play coverage of the Dragons' men's and women's basketball teams as they chase a conference tournament title.
Our NSIC tournament coverage is sponsored in part by Valley Pre-Owned, Cameroon Foss Concrete, and Affinity Plus Federal Credit Union.
Join myself, Big Game, James McCarty, and Jace Denman on the home of MSUM men's and women's basketball at the Northern Sun Intercollegiate Tournament.
Fairmeadow Nursing Home is a 42-bed skilled nursing facility in Fertile, Minnesota. They pride themselves on the small-town, close-knit, home environment feel it provides its residents. And Fairmeadow Nursing Home is now hiring for the following positions: CNA, LPN, CNA therapy aides, dietary cook, dietary aide, and housekeeping aides. Fairmeadow Nursing Home and Assisted Living is committed to providing seniors a rich, meaningful, and dignified life, focusing on physical, social, spiritual, and emotional needs in order to provide the best life journey possible.
Do you love working on cars but don't love your current job? If so, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Matthew Carlson, owner of Fix It Forward Auto Care. We're a family-owned full-service auto repair shop looking to hire skilled automotive technicians. With our state-of-the-art shops, great work environment with competitive pay and benefits, you'll enjoy a great job with a bigger purpose and a lot of opportunity for advancement. Visit FixItForwardAutoCare.com to apply. Fix It Forward Auto Care, the name you trust for car repair.
Fix It Forward Auto Care.
You wash your hands, you brush your teeth, but how do you clean your nose? With Navage. Navage uses powered suction to pull saline in one nostril, around the back of the nose, and out the other nostril, flushing out allergens, mucus, and germs. And it's why cleaning your nose, the body's air filter, is the next evolution in daily personal hygiene. Navage helps you breathe better, sleep deeper, and snore less, but the biggest payoff is improved health. At Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Clean nose, healthy life.
My dad has a cold, but also has high blood pressure. That's why I got him Vicks DayQuil High Blood Pressure for max strength daytime relief. Unlike some ordinary cold medicines, it's specially formulated for people like my dad. DayQuil High Blood Pressure is sugar-free, alcohol-free, and decongestant-free.
Vicks DayQuil High Blood Pressure. The daytime, non-drowsy, coughing, aching, fever, sore throat, cold, and flu for people with high blood pressure.
Like my dad.
Medicine.
Sometimes life is wonderful, and sometimes it's not. Cherish the good, but always be prepared for life's challenges. At Private Healthcare, we provide the peace of mind you deserve. With private healthcare, you'll get the coverage you want and healthcare you need. If your employer doesn't supply healthcare coverage and you don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, you need to give us a call right now. Private healthcare is private health insurance for ages 65 and under with medical, dental, vision, and even prescription coverage. When life comes at you unexpectedly, you need to be ready. And health insurance is your financial safety net. If you're looking for health coverage at the best price and your annual household income is $35,000 or more, give us a call at 800-664-2612. That's 800-664-2612. 800-664-2612.
Hey, it's Bonnie Mastati from Bonnie and Friends. Join us weekday mornings beginning at 5. Coming up in our next show, we're going to be chatting with Chuck Claremont, North Dakota Safety Council. Their 50th Annual Safety and Health Conference starts Wednesday in Bismarck and runs through Friday. They work to improve safety on our roads, at work, and in our homes, and we will chat about it. And licensed registered dietitian Elizabeth McGee will be in to answer all our health, diet, and nutrition questions. All this and more in the next Bonnie and Friends beginning at 5 a.m. Join us.
And welcome to WDAY Weather and Ag in Focus. I'm Bridgette Readel, Ag Director, along with meteorologist Justin Storm. And he's living up to his words these days as we're going to have some stormy weather in the next 3 or 4 days out here. And hopefully it doesn't overly impact our guest today, and that is Ryan Hastings with Hastings CDT Ranch in South Dakota. Ryan, tell us how things look out your window right now, please, and where are you at?
We're northwest of Britain, about 20 miles, and it's looking pretty white. Snow just started here a little bit.
Wind up too?
Not quite yet.
All right, I might get home.
Supposed to be later afternoon, I think, is when that's supposed to happen.
I might get home today. I packed an overnight bag just in case. Just never know. So, all right, Ryan, tell us about our operation. You're not just a cattle guy. The reason I called you was because of Bison. Tell me more.
Like, what would you like to know? I guess
How'd you get started, and what was the decision to bring him on the ranch?
Well, my grandpa started with them in 1982. He had a heart attack, and he said something about back then that he, only one serving of red meat a week, I think, or something. He said, and he said he wasn't going to live on fish and chicken, so he started a little buffalo herd back then.
I think I like your grandpa.
And we had
a lot.
beef at the time. Yeah, we had beef at the time too, but we got out of that about in 2014, I guess, and went just strictly feeding buffalo.
That's fantastic. Okay, so tell me, does the name, the CDT, does that stem from when you had cattle as well, or how did you get to keep the name, or what did you do there?
Oh, yep, that stems from the cattle. Yeah, it was my grandpa's brand. He was a Searle Jr., so that's what his brand stood for.
Nice. Do you still use that brand on the buffalo? Do you actually brand them?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope, we don't.
As a cattle kid, I'm not very familiar with the practices here. So, okay, you got a buffalo, you got cows and bulls. How long does it take for him to calve out? How big are the calves? What time of the year do you calve? Give me the whole operation layout.
Oh, they calf usually starting in April. They kind of rut like a deer, kind of, but it's in July and August.
Okay.
So most of the time you don't have many fall animals or anything, but every once in a while you will. Calves are only about 40 pounds when they're born.
Only 40 pounds?
And only 40 pounds, yep.
Right.
Kind of weird thinking of big buffalo, but they're only 40 pounds.
Right, and how big is an adult buffalo?
Oh, adult cow, a good one, a good heavy one would be 1,100 pounds. A bull you can get close to a ton, a little better.
Mm-hmm.
Big animal. So how does that differ with the bison and raising them versus cattle? What's the difference? Is there any similarities, and is one more difficult than the other?
I'd say they both have their challenges. Like the like a beef, you want to get one in to vaccinate it or something. If it's showing signs of sickness, it's pretty easy to do. But the buffalo, when you try to get one, you'll never get one. They stick together like glue almost. If you try to take one in a pen, they all gotta go at one time. But a buffalo really there really is no sickness too much in them. If they are, normally, if they show signs of being sick, that's too late. They're not going to respond to anything.
Do you vaccinate?
Like last year, what's that?
Do you vaccinate like when you vaccinate calves?
We usually vaccinate everything before they go in the feedlot.
Okay.
So we'll give them a couple shots. A mycoplasma is the big one. We'll give them a 7-way, and we usually worm them then too with an injectable.
Okay.
I was going to ask because we've heard the stories of some people trying to separate babies from mama with cattle, and it seems like sometimes the beef cattle can be a little aggressive sometimes. The dairy cattle usually, for the most part, are pretty docile, and they don't really care outside of course, your exceptions. But what does that look like with the bison? Are they kind of more of an aggressive animal, and not like you walk in the field, they try and take you out, but are they a little bit more aggravated than your typical cow?
Well, I don't know if I'd say that. I mean, they're pretty protective. Like, if you go out in the pen, even with the tractor to feed, especially when they're young, they'll kind of steer their calf off away from everybody else. Mm-hmm. But when you're weaning, I guess I'd say it goes a little bit better than cattle. I don't know if they forget sooner, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's not a lot of pacing the fence or anything like that.
Do you think your rate of gain is faster than what you get with beef? Because I think about a 40-pound calf out of a buffalo, and I would think that's got to move along pretty quickly to get full size. Or would I be wrong?
Yeah. No, it's you'll wean about a 400-pound calf in the fall.
Okay.
Like or by maybe midwinter, December, January. Mm-hmm. And then it'll take after they're in the feedlot, like we just shipped a load out now. So they've been at the feedlot for 11 months.
Okay.
And the last load will hopefully go in July. So it's what's that, 11 to 16, 17 months it'll take to finish a buffalo from 400 pounds.
Maybe I should ask
a finished buffalo, like a buffalo bull, only eats 35 pounds of feed a day.
Only 35 pounds. I'm really surprised at
Yep.
that. And I should ask, should I call him a buffalo or a bison? Does it matter?
It doesn't matter, I guess. I just always called them buffalo, so it's kind of hard to break that.
I'm just using my NDSU horns up for those who are watching on video today.
Oh, I am on video. I didn't know. Maybe I should have cleaned up a little bit.
Looks like a regular day. Like you said, you just came in from loading a semi, so I think you're in good shape.
Yep. Yeah, we just got a small load of calves in and shipped a load of fats out, and hopefully he can beat the storm they all go to Brush, Colorado to get butchered, so hopefully he beats the storm there, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I was wondering, we've had a few other guests on in the past that do a lot with beef and dairy when it comes to calving. Do you use any, maybe I should just say, do you use drones at all for trying to kind of navigate where these animals are? Do they go over a large distance, or do they stay pretty close to the farm?
Mine, I guess the cows that I have, I don't have a very big herd right now. They are a little over half a mile south of the farm, so I can drive down the road and see them. As I grow the herd, it's going to be up in there's no roads, so I have yet to figure out how I'm going to kind of keep an eye on them. The other ones I can drive by every day and see they're in. The other ones are going to be unless you're up there, you're not going to know if they're running the country or what. So a drone might be something that I would look into to kind of just keep an eye on them.
Oh, absolutely. Actively watching them. So Folks, it is 1:30 in the afternoon, and it's the bottom of the hour. We are visiting with Ryan Hastings, Bridgette Ranch in South Dakota near Britain. We're going to be right back. We're going to continue to talk about his buffalo herd and all that goes along with it, so stay tuned. We'll be right back after this.
Your business has storage, but not nearly enough. You need Dakota Storage Products. They'll utilize the space you already have. They're the experts in loading docks, pallet racks, cabinets, bins, and warehouse ladders, even industrial shelving for bankers' boxes and your year-end files. They've helped businesses and farmers in the region make storage space smart by helping your storage space fit your needs. Go to DakotaStorageProducts.com. Dakota Storage Products, helping you store stuff smart.
Do you know what people see when they Google you? Search engines don't always get it right. And when they're wrong, it's your reputation on the line. So what do you do when you don't agree with your search results? Call Reputation Defender at 800-401-6681. Reputation Defender by Norton is one of the most trusted names in online reputation repair. We have over a decade of experience in fixing people's search results, and we can help you too. Using cutting-edge approaches, Reputation Defender pushes unflattering information down to lower pages of your search results, where few people ever look. We also promote the good stuff so that it rises to the top, letting you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. You owe it to yourself to take control with Reputation Defender. Visit www.reputationdefender.com or call 800-401-6681 for free advice on your situation. 800-401-6681. That's 800-401-6681.
Ew, the toilet sneeze. Every flush spews bacteria onto surfaces that little Bobby touches and then spreads to the light switch and everywhere else in the house. Yuck. So Dad uses Microban 24 to help stop the spread. It's the only sanitizing spray with a long-lasting shield that keeps killing 99.9% of bacteria on surfaces for up to 24 hours. Be confident you're protecting your family with Microban 24. Don't just sanitize it, Microban it.
Do you suffer from stiff, achy, chronic knee pain? Have you been told you have arthritis? Is knee pain keeping you from enjoying your favorite hobbies? If so, the next 60 seconds could change your life. Please listen carefully. If we find you are a candidate for our unique approach, we will do a trial treatment, and day one you will know without a doubt if we can help you. Pick up the phone right now and call 701-502-6200. And best of all, we may be able to reduce and even eliminate your knee pain without pills, shots, or surgery. Due to limited capacity, you must call now at 701-502-6200. Hurry. Call now to find out if you qualify for our program that is changing lives and helping people save time, money, and agony. Call now 701-502-6200. You have nothing to lose, so call right now.
Oil and natural gas create opportunities for North Dakota. In fact, over 50,000 North Dakotans have good-paying jobs thanks to the oil and natural gas industry. Real people finding prosperity in their careers and bringing it home for their families and communities. It's one of the many ways oil and natural gas are making life better in North Dakota for generations. North Dakota's oil and natural gas, advancing the possibilities.
If you're looking for honest, dependable, over-the-top customer service at affordable prices, you'll want to do business with Welton's Tire Service in Lisbon, North Dakota. Welton's is a name you've grown to trust, proudly serving the area for 50 years. Welton's Tire always works hard for customer satisfaction and service. They offer brands for every make. If you need tires, repair, maintenance, or on-farm tire service, contact Welton's Tire on Main Street in Lisbon. Tell them Beth sent you. Online at weltonstire.net.
Welcome to WDAY Weather and Ag in Focus. I'm Bridgette Readel, Ag Director, along with meteorologist Justin Storm, who's doing his best to live to his namesake this week. I will talk to you about that after the show. Thank you. Much appreciated. We do have a guest with us today. We have Ryan Hastings of Bridgette Ranch near Britain, South Dakota. He raises bison, and we have all sorts of questions about him. And here's going to be my can you verify this story or not for me, Ryan? I had an intern way back when whose family also raised some bison up by Carrington, North Dakota. And when they did that, they used like railroad ties and sucker bars, heavy iron bars to build fence because bison will just push through a regular fence. Would you agree with that, or are you using regular fencing for your bison?
In the feedlot, we actually use highway guardrail for the pasture and stuff. If they're not pushed, generally, like in the pasture, if they've got food and water, they're pretty content, so that's fine for that. But no, the feedlot's got highway guardrail.
So my father-in-law tells the story that back in the 80s, they had a local rancher who also had bison, and occasionally someone would get out. And the neighbor would call and ask everybody to saddle up their horses to go bring those buffalo back. The only problem was the buffalo can run for days, and your horses would just go down first. They'd get completely wore out. I'm not sure you're using horses to keep yours in, maybe more like four-wheelers, or do you have any trouble like that as well, that they'll just go forever?
Oh, they'll run, yeah, they'll go. And we haven't had too many. We had the feedlot break out once, a pen. And actually, they went 7 miles in the dark. Yeah, but we chased them home on the road. And really, they do kind of respect the fences, kind of. Like I know there's another guy that we buy calves from. When he moves his down the highway, they just put one barbed wire across the field approaches.
Okay.
And they won't go through it.
Oh.
It's like they have to think a little bit before they do something.
Mm-hmm.
We're nothing against a beef cow, but they'd blow through that so fast and be in the next county that.
Okay.
You never.
Well, we realized.
But no, they can run. They can.
Beef cows are disrespectful. Bison will pay more attention. Got it. I'm writing that down.
Do, yep.
That's a perfect description.
We had a question roll in here via email, and our listener was wondering, are cuts of bison meat similar to how they are for different cuts of cow, or are there different types of grades when it comes to buffalo or bison meat?
The cuts are pretty well the same. The buffalo doesn't marble quite the same. Mm-hmm. So I don't, as far as grades, there's not really a grade. But you've still got the ribeyes, everything that the beef has.
Mm-hmm.
That's supposed to be
so
healthier.
What would you say is better, beef or buffalo?
I'm gonna say buffalo, and I never thought we still have beef cows, and we butchered a heifer one time because somebody wanted a half, and we kept a half. And I'm sure I'll get all kinds of hate mail for this, but going from buffalo to the beef, when you chewed like a hamburger, you could feel the fat in the burger when you chewed it.
Mm-hmm.
Versus a buffalo doesn't have that.
They're so lean.
Yeah, they're, and you can. A lot of people say you can't cook a buffalo anything very well, but I'm not a very good cook. And I mean, I can grill my steaks to a medium well, and they're still pretty juicy.
So, when asking that question, I've had this listener comment come in. Do you sell buffalo directly? I know you mentioned you sent a load down to Colorado, but do you also process locally and sell local meat?
Yep, we do. We've got a couple different places that we go. Like one is in Enderlin there. Actually, we had an appointment there tomorrow, but we were canceling that because I don't think we'll get there.
Yeah.
But we don't sell a lot. I'd say 7-8 a year is all we probably do.
And comparative to beef and bison, where does that sit price-wise? What's more expensive between the two, going out and buying bison burger or meat, or regular beef?
Well, the buffalo.
Or is it kind of similar?
You've got some places that kind of gouge, I would say, the price just because it's buffalo. Mm-hmm. I mean, we just charge whatever the hanging weight is at the plant that we send our buffalo to, and it's nothing. We don't go out over and above what we would get normally, I guess. But like a A pound of buffalo burger is about $8 to $8.50, I guess.
Okay.
And I guess I'm not even sure what a pound of beef is.
Depends on your cut.
Well, today's world, it's probably.
I know I've walked into a couple local stores that they had buffalo burger from the same place we send ours, and they had $15 to $16 on the pound of burger, which is plenty high.
That does sound pretty high.
Yeah, it does.
That's almost a little outside of what someone's probably willing to spend.
I would say yes. I don't know how they could sell it for that price. But.
Sure. So do you think when your meat's processed out in Colorado, does a lot of that go to restaurants or mostly into like a grocery store market? Do you know?
I'd say 95% of it goes to restaurants.
Okay.
Most of that never gets froze.
Okay, gotcha. It all goes out fresh.
It all goes out fresh, yep. Yeah, so COVID really hurt that market pretty bad.
Rebounding?
No, it's steady.
Okay.
So, but unfortunately, it takes you, almost like the calves are buying now are coming in, and they won't go out until next year. So you've already bought and paid for the calves long before you're getting a check to, most beef guys will feedlot, you sell a pen and you take that money and buy another pen.
Right.
Well, that doesn't work so much with the buffalo. So the bank gets a little nervous every now and then with that much money out.
I bet they do.
Yeah. So far it's worked.
I was wondering how are the buffalo, how do they handle the weather up here? Obviously they've been here for many years, but in the excessive heat waves that we've seen in the last recent years and the big fiasco down in the central U.S. where they were worried about all the cows dying off from, the high humidity and the heat being near 100 degrees for 10 days, how do they translate into that? How well do they handle that kind of change in temperatures and weather?
Oh, it's way better. I'd say we've never really lost one due to heat, and I can say in weather like this, I would much rather have a feedlot full of buffalo than beef. Like the cows right now, they're standing with their head and face into the wind right now, and they're just standing there.
And they're fine with it.
Yep, they're fine with it.
Okay.
So they handle the heat pretty well then too, you mentioned?
Yep. Yeah, they do. I mean, we don't really lose that many a year, but I can say nothing indirect. I mean, they maybe would have had a little touch of pneumonia or something, maybe, and then the heat got them, but nothing. I mean, we've never had a big catastrophe, I guess, because of heat.
I see. And how about with like the winter storms during calving season, early April, mid-April, you get that crazy blizzard that drops 1 to 2 feet of snow, and something similar to what's coming through over the next couple of days, but a few months from now. How do the calves handle that? Is it just as big of an issue for the buffalo as it is for cattle and lambs and so on?
No, I don't. I guess fortunately, we've never really had any like that, but I know one year I was they were out in a bigger pasture when they were calving, and I was trying to put some hay down for them to bed, and all they did was walk to the other end of the pasture, so that didn't do good. But I never lost any, I guess. I mean, they're just they're like Velcro almost. I mean, that calf is right alongside that mom.
So, the guys around here know that I'm someday going to have a T-shirt that says Yellowstone is not a documentary. And one of the storylines currently has been that a beef herd contracted brucellosis from bison in a national park. Is it possible? Is that realistic? That could actually happen? And what's the likelihood that you'd ever see something like that cross-contract with your herds?
Yeah, it can. But like mostly around here, everybody's vaccinated for it.
Okay.
I mean, if you and a buffalo heifer to be sold has to be vaccinated for it.
Oh, sure.
You cannot. Yeah, if it's over 3 years old. Now I could keep one and do it, but I could not legally sell one that's not.
Okay.
and they have to be done before a certain age. I believe they have to be done by the time they're, I think it's actually, it might be 3 years, maybe 2.
See, we're all about.
But yeah, it could happen. I know there's a herd out west that had it pretty bad. I mean, this was years ago, but they lost quite a few.
We are all about the facts, folks, and Ryan's happy to deliver that for us. So as we wind down this chance to visit with Ryan Hastings of CDT Ranch and near Britton, South Dakota, Ryan, if folks would like to follow you along, maybe, I mean, I know you through social media. Is that something you want folks to do, or where could they find your meat, like you said, in Enderlin? Are there other locations? Anything you want to share with folks about finding you?
The only thing about is the Twitter at CDT Ranch. I think that's it, isn't it?
I think that's your handle, yeah.
That's CDT Ranch. I didn't know if I had Hastings in there or not, but yeah, no, Enderlin doesn't sell any of the meat. That's just where we have it processed at.
Oh, sure.
I mean, it's kind of we've had a few people from Fargo, so that they don't have to travel so far to get it and stuff like that. And if there's somewhere else that they'd want it to go that isn't a terrible far away, we'd accommodate that.
That'd be awesome. Well, we appreciate your time very much today. Thank you. Happy snow removal this week. Maybe you don't want to hear those words, but I'm afraid they're the ones I'm going to have to tell you. So,
yeah, it's going to be interesting.
For those who are listening, we will be right back. We are going to catch up with the American Ag Network on our markets, and then we're going to go back to the weather and make sure everybody is up to date for the remainder of the week. Talk to you in just a moment.
Big news from Newsmax. AT&T's DirecTV censorship of Newsmax continues. DirecTV continues carrying 22 liberal news channels, but they just canceled Newsmax. With OAN gone, that's 2 conservative channels DirecTV has removed in a year. Newsmax is the 4th highest rated cable news channel with great hosts like Greg Kelly, Chris Salcedo, Rob Schmidt, Mike Huckabee, Greta Van Susteren, and more. Now millions of DirecTV subscribers can't watch them. Ted Cruz, Rand Paul, Mike Huckabee, all standing with Newsmax and for free speech. Call DirecTV now. Tell them you want Newsmax back on the air. Tell them you oppose censorship and want more voices, not less. Call toll-free 877-NEWSMAX and we'll connect you to DirecTV. If you support free speech, call 877-NEWSMAX. We'll tell you how you can help. Dr. Ben Carson says our freedoms are in danger. Make your voice heard. Call 877-NEWSMAX today.
You wash your hands, you brush your teeth, but how do you clean your nose? With Navage. Navage uses powered suction to pull saline in one nostril, around the back of the nose, and out the other nostril, flushing out allergens, mucus, and germs. And it's why cleaning your nose, the body's air filter, is the next evolution in daily personal hygiene. Navage helps you breathe better, sleep deeper, and snore less, but the biggest payoff is improved health. At Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, and online. Navage. N-A-V-A-G-E. Clean nose, healthy life.
Angie's List is now Angie, and we've heard a lot of theories about why.
I thought it was an eco move. Fewer words, less paper.
No, it was so you could say it faster.
No, it's to be more iconic. Must be a tech thing.
But those aren't quite right. It's because now you can compare upfront prices, book a service instantly, and even get your project handled from start to finish.
Sounds easy.
It is, and it makes us so much more than just a list. Get started at Angie.com. That's A-N-G-I, or download the app today.
Watching strength continue in the soy complex on Tuesday. This is the American Ag Network. I'm Jesse Allen with this market update. We're talking now with Arlen Suderman, Chief Commodities Economist at StoneX. Arlen, corn and wheat mixed, while meantime this soy complex seems to be where a lot of that headline activity is to start the week, isn't it?
It definitely is. Soybeans have been trending higher. The old crop contracts, anyway, have been trending higher really since October, with much of the focus being on the fact that Argentina has a short crop, and that drought there just continues to eat away at the size of that crop. And then over the weekend, they did have some areas of frost as well. Still unclear if that did any significant yield damage beyond what the drought had already done, but it's just one more factor impacting it. Meanwhile, export data coming out this morning, export inspections for actual shipments was again strong for soybeans. It is trending lower, but at a slower pace, if that makes sense, than what we would normally see as China waits for Brazilian supplies to come on. And that now is tightening up U.S. supplies as we continue to ship soybeans out of the United States. So those factors coming together to support a gap higher on the charts for soybeans this morning. Corn getting a little bit of strength and sympathy too, because it's also the Argentine drought is also affecting the corn supplies down there as well. Even though U.S. exports of corn remain very poor and we remain well below the pace we need to be to hit USDA's target. Hard red winter wheat also getting a boost from its poor crop conditions, anticipating over the next day or two that we'll see another big dust storm in the Texas Panhandle, indicating just the significance of the drought down there and the high winds that are coming to that area as snows and other moisture remain further to the north and the east of that drought-stricken area. So Kansas City getting some support.
That's Arlen Suderman of StoneX on the American Ag Network.
And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for rejoining us. 151. We were just speaking with Ryan Hastings from Seabar J Ranch. He's a buffalo rancher, farmer, and it was interesting to see how that operation works and how everything just goes into raising buffalo. And we thank you for the few of you that reached out and sent us some questions. And during that, been getting a lot of questions on the weather that's going to be coming in. And during the break, I've just been going through some of the new data that's been coming in, and we have new advisories and new warnings that have been issued for out our area. And this is going to be a blizzard warning that actually has just been issued for the Central Valley. This is going to be from Hillsboro down into South Dakota, western Minnesota, down towards the Twin Cities area. In our area, that blizzard warning will go into effect at 6 o'clock Wednesday evening. That'll run through Wednesday night until noon on Thursday, so it's going to be very difficult to travel along. Our winter weather advisory has also been extended from midnight tonight until Wednesday at 6 p.m. in the evening. So we will see the blowing snow kicking up throughout tonight and leading into Wednesday with gusts over 30 to 40 miles per hour, and then the snow comes in through Wednesday evening, Wednesday night. That's when the blizzard conditions are likely to be ongoing, and it's likely we'll probably see blizzard-like conditions through the afternoon of Wednesday. So traveling plans, get them done today. We have snow showers throughout the valley right now, but we're not mixing in the wind, so it's not quite as bad as what it could be. And a couple other questions that have been coming in. Trucker Al, he's listening. He had a question. He's heading to Minneapolis from Chicago, and he thinks he's going to be able to make it to Minneapolis today, but he was wondering, when will he get hit with bad weather on his way there, and how will the weather be heading back? Well, I'll tell you this, Al, you're probably, once you get to Minneapolis, you're probably going to be stuck there until Thursday evening, if not Thursday night, maybe Friday morning. That's when things will wind down, as overnight Thursday down in the Twin Cities area, as well as the wind will lighten up as well. So you're probably going to want to wait till Friday morning to trek back to around the Fargo area. As for your trip from Chicago to Minneapolis, outside of the snow and a little bit of rain down in the Illinois area and Iowa, you should be fine. By the time this evening, the Twin Cities will be looking at a few inches of snow, but the wind won't kick up until after dark and probably closer to midnight, and that's when things will really go downhill for them, and then it'll just be a mess for the next couple of days, all day Wednesday and Thursday, as they pick up close to 20 inches of snow, if not a little more. So it's going to be hit a lot harder down there and throughout South Dakota in our area, but if you have any traveling plans, you might just want to either get them done right now or hold off until Friday morning. There was another listener, Jackie, her son was out in Bismarck, and she's like, when is he going to be able to make it back? He's want to wait till Friday morning. That's going to be when things settle down. So a lot of impactful weather coming into the area, and we encourage you again, if you ever have a Road Warrior report, give us a phone call at 701-293-9000. You're the ears and eyes out there. Let other people know what's going on, and I'll try and pull this up. Right now, for those that are watching on our Facebook and YouTube live video, the active radar right now for our area, and we're looking at some light snow here in the FM metro, but heavier banding taking place just south of Jamestown. And we're going to see those moderate bands developing with inside this larger blob of white light snow that'll be ongoing throughout this afternoon. Now, it's likely only going to lead to 1 inch to 3 inches of snow here in Fargo, but areas down towards Hankinson, Wahpeton, South Dakota border, the Southern Valley, they're going to be looking at 2 to potentially upwards of 5 inches of snow. But as I mentioned, the wind's not a big deal today, at least in our area. It's around 10 miles an hour for today. It's not until overnight that those winds begin to pick up, gusting over 30 miles an hour. So you'll see deteriorating conditions throughout tonight. Wednesday, a lot of blowing and drifting snow. The main event comes in Wednesday night through Thursday morning. That's when the worst of this is going to be. And then we'll see improving conditions late afternoon into Thursday evening and really overnight Thursday as those winds begin to go light into Friday morning. 1 to 2 feet of snow is expected throughout South Dakota into the southern half of Minnesota. Localized areas will likely push over 2 feet of snow, while here in the valley, it's a pretty sharp gradient cutoff along that I-94 corridor. As you go south, that's where the heavier amounts are going to be located at. We're kind of right on that line between 2 to 5 and 3 to 6 inches of snow here in Fargo. As you go north towards Grand Forks, likely a light dusting to maybe 2 inches of snow. And then that far southern border along the South Dakota border, or the far southern valley, along the South Dakota border, could be looking at upwards of a foot of snow. So pretty fast gradient in those snow amounts throughout the valley. But regardless, we're all going to be getting hit with the wind. So all the snow, it's just going to be blowing around.
And remember, check those road reports before you go out. If you are traveling somewhere, let us know what you're seeing. As Justin said, you can be our eyes and ears on the road. Personally, I came into Fargo from northern Cass County probably around 11 o'clock this morning, and there were scattered icy spots. I-29 still has some pretty big stretches of ice. And so definitely reduce speeds out there. Be careful. And I really feel for the guys that are like pulling bumper trailers and so forth, because you can tell they slide around a bit. And if the wind comes up, that's going to make it even harder on them. So everybody just take your precautions. Be safe. If you don't need to travel, this is your chance to call it a work from home day, snow days as we used to think of them fondly when we were kids, whatever the case might be. Just plan ahead for what's happening. And all of those times in the last couple of years that I heard folks say, boy, we don't get blizzards like we used to in the 60s and 70s where it just snowed for days. Mother Nature was listening, and here we go. She's had a great winter for most of us if you like a blizzard. And I don't mean the ones at Dairy Queen.
I was hoping that's the way you were leaning. I was going to say I could really go for a Reese's Blizzard, but I guess I can go for a cold Blizzard instead.
I think you might.
The other thing I didn't mention with this, Bridgette, is because of the wind and, temperatures until Saturday, well, let's just leave Saturday out, until Friday, are going to be a couple degrees on either side of zero. So we'll be just below zero, or at least close to it, above zero. But if you got a 15 to 30 mile an hour wind gusting to 40, and overnight lows are going to be between 10 and 20 below for a few nights, your wind chills are going to be around 25 to 30 below in the afternoon and 30 to 45 below in the overnight period. So it's a big reminder that if you find yourself getting stuck on the side of the road during one of these events, just to stay put and not go wandering for help. Even if you think, hey, I'm only a mile from the house, I know where I'm at, there's people down the road, I can get to them. Well, keep in mind, it takes 20 minutes to walk a mile in pleasant conditions. If you're trekking through snow and you're getting blasted with a 30 mile an hour wind chills are 30 below, it's only going to take 5 to 10 minutes before you start getting wind chill. And it's probably going to take you 30 to 45 minutes to walk that mile instead of 20. Well, so a lot of people find themselves in very bad situations because they wandered for help versus just staying put and waiting for help to come to them, if it can even get there.
We live here. We're familiar with this. We are lifelong residents of this tri-state region. Remember, have your winter survival kits with. Carry extra warm clothes. Fill up a gas tank. Don't be driving around out there on anything less than a half a tank in case you do get stranded. And I don't care how good your cell phone coverage is or whether or not you have it charged. Someone can't necessarily get to you. If you got stuck and you need to call for help, nobody said that that's going to work out in your favor for quite some time. A lot of folks last week spent the night in their vehicles because no one could get to them. And it's not the worst thing in the world, but you could avoid it if possible. That'd be great.
Yeah, you definitely could. And while you're at it, get the bread and milk, stop at your local liquor store, pick up a case of beer, because it's probably going to be something you're going to need to ride this out. But I'll have another look coming up here on the forecast with the Jay Thomas Show. That's starting here in a little over 6 minutes. Until then, everyone have a great afternoon. We'll be back tomorrow, 1 to 2 o'clock in the afternoon, to give you an update on that weather. Like I said, the Jay Thomas Show is coming up next.
970 WDAY AM and 93.1 FM, Fargo-Moorhead.